6 extinct animals scientists are actually bringing back right now. This is not science fiction. This is not a proposal or a theory. 6 animals that went extinct, some recently, some thousands of years ago, are currently the subjects of active, funded scientific programs with real specimens, real budgets, and real target dates. Tonight, we go through all 6, and the last one will change how you think about extinction entirely. Extinction was supposed to be permanent. That was the rule. The one biological fact that seemed truly irreversible. A species goes extinct, and it is gone. Not sleeping, not waiting, gone. But science has been quietly dismantling that assumption for 2 decades. Tonight, 6 animals that prove it. 6 species with active de-extinction programs behind them, and 6 moments where the word extinct stopped meaning what we thought it meant. Everything you're about to see is happening now, not 50 years from now. Animal number 1, the dire wolf, extinct for 9,500 years, made famous by Game of Thrones. And in 2025, Colossal Biosciences announced they had created living dire wolf pups, the first predator brought back from the Pleistocene. The dire wolf, Enosiondirus, was the largest canid that ever lived in the Americas. It stood larger and heavier than the gray wolf, with a broader skull, more powerful jaws, and a build designed for taking down the megafauna of the Pleistocene. Giant ground sloths, ancient horses, early bison. It went extinct approximately 9,500 years ago, along with most of the large animals it hunted, as the Ice Age ended and the prey base that supported it disappeared. It was known primarily from fossils and from the pop culture phenomenon that turned it into a household name. In April 2025, Colossal Biosciences announced something that would have seemed impossible 5 years earlier. The birth of 3 dire wolf pups, created through a combination of ancient DNA analysis and CRISPR gene editing applied to the gray wolf genome. The pups, named Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi, were born from gray wolf surrogates and carried 20 key genetic edits derived from ancient dire wolf DNA extracted from fossils. They were larger than gray wolf pups, with the broader skull and lighter coat coloration consistent with dire wolf fossil evidence. They were alive, and they were the first animals of their kind to exist on Earth in nearly 10,000 years. The announcement generated both excitement and scientific debate. Some researchers questioned whether 20 genetic edits were sufficient to constitute a genuine dire wolf revival, or whether the animals were more accurately described as heavily edited gray wolves. Colossal scientists acknowledged the distinction and framed the project as a functional revival. Animals that express the key characteristics of the dire wolf, rather than a perfect genetic reconstruction. The debate about what counts as de-extinction continues. The pups, meanwhile, are growing, and the question they raise, if you can bring back the dire wolf, what comes next, is one that the scientific community is now actively answering. Animal number 2, the dodo. The most famous extinction in history, the word itself became a synonym for gone forever. In 2023, the company behind the Mammoth Project announced they were bringing it back, and they already have the complete genome. The dodo, Rhaphis cucullatus, went extinct in the late 17th century, approximately 1688, less than a century after European sailors first encountered it on the island of Mauritius. It was a large, flightless pigeon, roughly the size of a turkey, with a distinctive hooked beak and an absolute absence of fear toward humans, a trait that made it catastrophically easy to hunt. The combination of direct killing, introduced predators, and habitat destruction eliminated it from the island within decades of European contact. It became the defining symbol of human-caused extinction, so thoroughly that the phrase "dead as a dodo" entered the English language as a synonym for irrevocable loss. In 2023, Colossal Biosciences announced the dodo as their third de-extinction target, alongside the mammoth and the thylacine. The announcement came with a scientific foundation. The dodo genome had been fully sequenced by a team at the University of California, Santa Cruz, providing the complete genetic blueprint for the first time. The closest living relative of the dodo is the Nicobar pigeon, a striking iridescent bird of Southeast Asia and the Pacific, which will serve as the genetic template for the editing process. Animal number 3, the saber-toothed cat, canine teeth up to 28 centimeters long. The apex predator of the Pleistocene, extinct for 10,000 years, and Colossal has already begun mapping its genome from tar pit specimens. Smilodon fatalis, the saber-toothed cat, is one of the most recognizable prehistoric animals in the world and one of the most misunderstood. It was not a tiger. It was not closely related to any living big cat in the way its name suggests. It was a member of a completely separate evolutionary lineage, the Machairodont felids, that diverged from the ancestors of modern cats millions of years ago and developed the iconic elongated canine teeth independently. Those teeth, reaching up to 28 centimeters in the largest specimens, were not used for biting through bone. They were precision instruments used to deliver a targeted killing bite to the throat of large prey, exploiting the gap between the canines with a downward slashing motion that severed the blood supply with minimal struggle. Smilodon went extinct approximately 10,000 years ago, coinciding with the collapse of the Pleistocene megafauna that constituted its prey base. The La Brea tar pits in Los Angeles have preserved thousands of Smilodon specimens in extraordinary condition: bones, teeth, and in some cases soft tissue impressions, making it one of the best documented prehistoric predators in the fossil record. That documentation is exactly what makes the de-extinction conversation possible. Colossal Biosciences has confirmed interest in the saber-toothed cat as a long-term project and has begun preliminary genome mapping from tar pit specimens whose preservation has yielded DNA fragments of surprising quality. The challenges are significant. The genetic distance between Smilodon and its closest living relatives is considerably larger than the distance between the mammoth and the Asian elephant, making the editing process more complex. The question of what constitutes a suitable surrogate for gestation adds another layer of difficulty. But the scientific community's ability to extract and analyze ancient DNA has advanced dramatically in the past decade, and the La Brea specimens represent one of the richest sources of Pleistocene predator DNA available anywhere. The saber-toothed cat is not coming back next year, but the conversation about how to bring it back has already begun, with real specimens and real genomic data behind it. And believe it or not, the next animal may be even easier to bring back. Animal number 4, the cave lion. The largest lion that ever lived. It hunted mammoths alongside early humans in Ice Age Europe, and specimens found in Siberian permafrost have preserved its DNA so well that full genome sequencing is already complete. The cave lion, Panthera spelaea, was not simply a larger version of the African lion. It was a distinct species, adapted to the Ice Age environments of Europe and Asia that lived alongside Neanderthals and early modern humans for tens of thousands of years. It reached lengths of up to 2.5 meters and was depicted in some of the oldest cave art ever discovered. At Chauvet Cave in France, where 30,000-year-old paintings show cave lions with a precision and detail that suggests the artists were working from close observation. It was a real presence in the human world of the Pleistocene, real enough to paint on cave walls, real enough to fear. The cave lion went extinct approximately 13,000 years ago at the end of the last ice age, as the cold-adapted prey species it depended on disappeared. But in the permafrost of Siberia, where preservation conditions are extraordinary, multiple cave lion specimens have been found in recent decades in states of preservation that have no parallel in the fossil record elsewhere. In 2015 and 2017, two cave lion cubs, named Uyan and Dina, were found in the Sakha Republic of Russia, preserved so completely that their fur, skin, organs, and facial features were intact. Subsequent specimens have been found with even better preservation. DNA extracted from these specimens has yielded genetic material of sufficient quality for serious genomic analysis. The cave lion's closest living relative is the African lion, close enough that a de-extinction project using African lion cells as a template is theoretically more feasible than many current projects. Russian and international research teams have been working with the Siberian specimens, and the quality of the genetic material they contain has generated genuine scientific excitement about the possibility of a cave lion revival. The animal is not coming back soon, but it has left more behind in the permafrost than almost any other Ice Age species, and the permafrost, as it thaws, keeps giving. Animal number 5, the Irish elk. The largest deer that ever lived, antlers spanning 4 meters, wider than most rooms, extinct for 7,700 years, and the reason it died will make you look at the modern world differently. The Irish elk, Megaloceros giganteus, was not exclusively Irish, and it was not technically an elk. It was the largest deer species in the history of life on Earth, ranging across Europe, Asia, and northern Africa from approximately 400,000 years ago until its final extinction around 7,700 years ago. Its antlers, present only in males, as in all deer species, reached spans of up to 3.7 meters and weighed up to 40 kilograms. The animal that carried them stood approximately 2.1 meters at the shoulder. The antlers alone weighed more than most adult humans. The Irish elk's extinction has been the subject of scientific debate for decades. Early theories proposed that the antlers themselves were the cause, that they had become so large through runaway sexual selection that the animal could no longer lift its head or navigate through forests or survive in any practical sense. This theory has been largely discredited. The antlers were proportional to the animal's body size, and the Irish elk lived successfully with them for hundreds of thousands of years. The more supported explanation involves the rapid environmental change at the end of the last ice age, the disappearance of the open grassland habitat the Irish elk depended on, replaced by dense forest that its antler span made difficult to navigate, combined with hunting pressure from expanding human populations. The Irish elk's closest living relative is the fallow deer, a species still common across Europe and introduced worldwide. The genetic distance between them is manageable by current standards, and the Irish elk genome is being reconstructed from museum specimens and permafrost finds with increasing completeness. No formal revival project has been announced. But here is what makes the Irish elk the most thought-provoking animal on tonight's list. It went extinct because the world changed too fast for it to adapt. The grasslands it needed disappeared. The forests it couldn't navigate expanded. Sound familiar? The Irish elk died because its habitat was transformed by forces it couldn't control. We are currently transforming habitats at a rate that dwarfs anything the end of the Ice Age produced. The Irish elk is a mirror, and the reflection is uncomfortable. Animal number 6, Steller's sea cow. 27 years after it was discovered by Western science, it was extinct, the largest marine mammal since the Ice Age, and the most recent large animal driven to extinction entirely by humans. Steller's sea cow, Hydrodamulus gigas, was discovered by the German naturalist Georg Wilhelm Steller in 1741 during the Bering expedition that first mapped the Aleutian Islands. It was enormous, up to 9 meters in length and weighing as much as 10 tons, making it the largest marine mammal to have existed since the end of the Pleistocene. It lived in the cold waters around the Commander Islands in the North Pacific, feeding on kelp in shallow coastal waters, moving slowly and in herds, completely unafraid of humans, a trait that, combined with its enormous size and its value as a food source for sailors, made it catastrophically easy to hunt. By 1768, just 27 years after its discovery, it was gone. The fastest large mammal extinction ever recorded. The sea cow's closest living relatives are the dugong and the manatee, the order Sirenia, whose genomes are well studied and which share a significant portion of the sea cow's genetic heritage. The sea cow genome has been partially reconstructed from skeletal specimens preserved in museums worldwide, and advances in ancient DNA extraction have been improving the quality of that reconstruction steadily. The ecological rationale for its return is compelling. The kelp forest ecosystems of the North Pacific, where Steller's sea cow lived, have been dramatically altered by the removal of large herbivores and the subsequent changes to kelp distribution. Returning a large kelp grazer to those ecosystems could produce measurable ecological benefits. No formal de-extinction project for Steller's sea cow has been announced as of this video, but the genomic groundwork is being laid, the ecological case is being made in the scientific literature, and the existence of closely related living species makes the technical pathway clearer than for many other candidates. The sea cow was discovered and eliminated within a single human lifetime. Whether it can be returned within another human lifetime is a question that the next decade of genomic science will begin to answer. Scientists already brought back the dire wolf. The mammoth is next, then the dodo, then the thylacine. How long until extinction becomes optional? If this video changed how you think about extinction, share it with someone who still thinks gone means gone. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And before you go, drop a comment telling us which animal you want to see brought back most. We read everyone, and if there's an extinct animal you think deserves its own video, tell us below. You might just see it next week. See you there.